49. And a very good morning to you, Mavis Obaya Daku. You at Ghana Commercial Bank PLC, UCC, and also to you, Mr. Kofi Adumakun. You are the branch manager of Ghana Commercial Bank UCC branch. And so we settled with the interview session, and today we're looking at SDG 4 drive, and and the topic today is education access versus quality. Access and quality when it comes to education. The role of the educational planner or the role of educational planners. And I'm privileged to have in the studio with me, I want to add Reverend Professor Yao Aferi Ankuma, former director and a lecturer at IEPA, and also Dr. Gloria Nyame. She is also a lecturer at IEPA, and these are people I know very well. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing well.
By God's grace.
Yes, by coincidence or by accident, we find ourselves here this morning, and it's a privilege having you with us in the studio this morning. And very importantly, the topic we are discussing this morning: education access and quality, the role of educational planners, and coming from IEPA, which is an Institute of Educational Planning and Administration. I think that you best will serve us will serve the purpose of this discussion. So I want us to quickly get into it, Prof. Let me start with you. Let's try to contextualize the discussion within the SDG 4 and see how the SDG 4 talks about education, access to education and quality, and then probably we'll get into defining what access is. Prof.
All right. Thank you very much. Good morning to all the listeners. And this morning it's a big privilege for us to be here this morning to discuss these pertinent issues about education. As we all know, education is a preparation for life. Indeed, some people even say education is life, because it is about empowerment. When you empower people, then you enable them to act professionally. So it is all about the preparation that a person has to go through to enable him to participate effectively in this economy of life. We are aware that the fourth United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, SDG 4, as you rightly mentioned, requires countries to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all by the year 2030. But they have just put the year there to stimulate practice in all the countries. But whatever it is intended to ensure that countries make every effort to provide quality education for everyone. And we mean everyone. So education for all means everyone. Okay. And it must be quality education. So it is for this reason that Ghana's, the education sector plans that have been developed over the years, including the recent one, which is the 2018-2030, all deal with issues that will ensure that all Ghanaians of school-going age, plus everyone else, indeed all Ghanaians, without any age limit, have access to quality education. So basically, the issue of access and access to quality education, for that matter, is very, very important. If everyone has to be educated, then they must have the access to education. Everything that needs to be done to ensure that they get the chance to participate in education is very relevant. So, in a gist, this is what I would say about the issue of SDG 4, and access and access to quality education, for that matter. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Doc, let me come to you. So when we're talking about the access to education, what would we say are some of the dimensions that we can find when it comes to access to education?
All right, thank you very much. As Prof said, access to education is very, very important. And not mere access to education, we are talking about access to quality education. And therefore, looking at dimensions of access, you first of all look at that of the public or the state. Now, this is where we are expecting the government, through the Ministry of Education and some of her appropriate agencies, to come out with policy which is very intentional in creating the awareness of the need for everyone to partake in education, and also trying to come out with the needed structures that are needed to be able to pursue quality teaching. Because if you are talking about access, not mere access to what? The resources that are needful to promote teaching and learning are also very important, and so they should be readily available. And all these, we are expecting the government to pursue these ones. And so that is that of the public or the state dimension. Then we can also talk about the institutional dimension. And when we talk of institutional, we are looking at the things institutions do relating to programs that the learners need based on their interests, the age, and then the personal characteristics such as earlier preparations and the likes. Because if programs run are not suitable to learners, if they are not engaging, if they are not relatable, when they assess even, they will not participate well. Some of them may lose interest and drop out along the line. And so that of the institution is also another dimension we can look regarding access. Then I can also talk about the private or the personal or parental dimension. And this one is about the knowledge of the availability of opportunity, the motivation to take advantage, and readiness or ability to do so. And so if, for instance, the students or learners are ready to take part in education, they will willingly be present all the time. And so these are some of the dimensions that I can talk for now.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. And so, Prof, so I and my listeners are, I'm sure they also, thinking alongside with me that from this discussion we're getting to realize that access to education is very critical, and Doc gives us the 3 dimensions, but also not only access, but when you get access to education, the quality is also paramount. And I know quality and access has been in the debate. When the free senior high school was launched and all that, people are talking about equality, access, quality, and all that. But so you can have access to education, all right, and which we are fighting for. But as to whether the education you have access to is the quality or not, also is another issue. Prof, I think that is where we are focusing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So then, what are some of the key components of educational quality, Prof? Right. When we talk about quality education, what are we looking at?
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, as you rightly said, access deals with the numbers. It is about ensuring that the numbers get to the fullest limit. Everyone gets there. But when they get there, what happens to them? So quality is about, it is a subjective issue. Personal individuals have their way of, describing that which is of quality.
Okay.
And so we can put issues like value, how people value it, the worth, the weight, the depth, the breadth. All of these are issues that qualitatively individuals may express in their thinking about what they will see as quality. So it's fitness for purpose of what is being provided, for that matter, education. So if these students, learners get to the education arena, the kind of education that they are receiving, what is the weight? What is the value? What is the worth? The depth and breadth of it. Yeah. So we have dimensions of quality. It spreads across the entire spectrum of educational provision. We have first the input. Then we have the process. And then we also have the output. And then we have the outcome. I will just briefly talk about this. The input involves everything that goes into making this provision possible. So all the resources that have to go into it. So it is both material and human. Teachers, their being there is part of the input. The infrastructure, the educational materials that the children have to use, and everything that they need to have, that is that they need to have to make the provision possible, is comes under input. Then we have the process. The process is what people do, the action that people take to ensure that things happen for the development, the education of the child or the learner. And so it is what the teachers do in the classroom, how they do it, their quality, the quality of what they are doing and everything. Then the leadership of the institution, what they also do to make the environment safe and sound and welcoming enough, friendly enough to all kinds of learners. Okay. And then what the educational managers also do. I'm talking of the school boards, the school management committees and all of that. Then what even parents do. All these things culminate in the process towards providing education that is of high quality. Then we talk of the output. When it comes to the output, it is about the child who has gone there to learn. For that matter, the learner. Sometimes I use child because normally we look at the learners who are younger. But we also talk about all learners. Yeah. Because learning is for life. And so the output is the initial, the primary intention that was that was galvanized at the beginning, which has been determined because of what the education has been. This is the output. Then the outcome is anything else that comes out along with the provision, the participation, the engagement that the student has gone through. This is so these four must be of quality of the type that will bring satisfaction to first to the learner and to the outsider, the stakeholders, the parents, everybody, that indeed what they are seeing in the learner has been of the highest possible, that they are happy with. Okay. So once they are happy with, once they are satisfied with, that means that it, and I said it is subjective. So it means that is of quality. Right,
Prof. Thank you very much. You still listen to ATL FM 100.5, 25 minutes past 8. And I think we're having a discussion here. But I think Doc wants to add something to that. Yeah.
As Prof has said, so in totality, you would say that quality is about that which will enable learners or potential learners to develop their full potentials and enter as productive, citizens. Yes, so we are talking about education which is responsive to the needs of society, to the individuals, and then the nation at large.
Okay, thank you. So now we understand what access to education is, what quality education also is. Now let's look at looking at all these put together. What can we say are some of the barriers to access to education? Doc, I'll come to you. Some of the barriers to educational access. What are some of the things that are preventing people from having access to education? As Prof said, getting the numbers to get into the classroom.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, I would want to tackle personal characteristics. Some learners are not fit healthy-wise. And so when they are not healthy, they are not able to participate well. And so they need to be very well sound-minded, because as you assess education, you are going to engage. We expect learners to engage in every bit of things that transpired in the school. And so they need to be physically fit. And so where learners are not that fit, they are not able to assess or participate very well, and that may also make them lose the interest of engaging in educational activities. Then some of them can also be due to peer pressure. Some, they have the willingness to participate, but by virtue of advices from their friends, especially those who don't like school, those who have other things in mind. Exactly. So when they share their experiences and what they intend doing, they also buy into that, and then also develop dissatisfaction for education. Then some, they also have the fear of failure. They think that they can make it, no matter whatever, due to some things that have been said to them. There isn't any good thing about you. There is nothing you can do. And so already they have conscientized their minds as such and think nothing good can come out of them. And so there's no point of taking part in education. Some people also have the low self-esteem. If they compare themselves to others, they think that they can't match up to them. And so there's no point of, they cannot. And so they won't worry themselves. So a lot of them can be said about personal characteristics. We can also talk about institutional one. I'm very, very particular about institutional characteristics. And that we can talk about the attractive ambience of the school. If the environment, the atmosphere is not welcoming, certainly they will not be motivated to participate. Especially the case of bullying,
which has become a topical issue these days.
Exactly. And bullying kills the interests of a lot of people. Exactly. So that is also part of it. We talk of the programs that are run by the institutions, like I said earlier on. If they are not motivating enough, if they are not relatable enough, if they are not engaging, because we want learners to take active part in teaching and learning process. So if all these are not there to satisfy the interests of learners, they will certainly lose interest and will not take part. All right, so I don't know if Prof.
Right. So I'll come to you, Prof, but this message is from Professor G.K. Teodoro.
Okay.
He has a very nice way of putting it. He said, good morning and kudos to your resource persons. I take this opportunity to thank my lecturer, Professor Yao Afari Ankuma, simply called Ya. Indeed, indeed, expanding access without quality is just like feeding a child without balancing nutrients. The result is kwashoko. Quality indexed access to education requires proper and rigorous long-term planning. Planning is what matters. Professor G.K. Teodoro, right?
Thank you very much, my if they are there but they are not adequate. Or if they are there but they are of poor status, I don't want to use the word quality again. In that case, this will not enable the children to, or the learners to get what they need. So the resources in the institution matter. Then there are other things like if the children have, or the learners have got the access, they are there, but there are cultural imperatives that affect their full participation. In that case, it can affect the quality. So yes, they have access, but the quality cannot be good enough. So quality access means making the provision that ensures that there is the ambience in the school is good enough it welcomes everyone. They have the qualification, all right, but their attitude in the class, the way they manage the class and so on, all these things can affect the quality. Eventually, the learner may not be able to get what needs to be received at that point. And so those are some of the things. Then we have gender.
Okay.
Gender is a big issue that has always of it. And then climatic
in an international conference, I presented something, and the number of teachers who are teaching CRS, most of them are males, and someone from Sweden or Norway said, well, that's interesting, because in our part of the world, it's the females who are teachers, not the males. So what is happening in Ghana? I said, well, this is what is so I get
exactly
the point where you talk about gender also coming in. So we have, unfortunately, we have about just 3 minutes to go.
All right.
So we're wrapping up and looking at the role of educational planners in ensuring access to education and also quality education. So those who plan education, what roles are they supposed to play? Probably I'll pick it from Prof and I'll come to Doc so that we wrap the discussion up. Prof.
All right. Those who plan education professionally, they are called educational planners, but we also have the quasi planners, people who have something to do with some level of planning in education, including, so we have the professional planners whose main work is educational planning. And so they are the ones who gather the data, analyze, do the diagnosis and so on, and then come out with the reports or the results. Yeah. Then based on the reports, they come out with recommendations, the alternatives that have to be followed and so on. And then they advise, they give policy advice and so on. But then we also have other planners like heads of institutions who also plan. In fact, their first managerial responsibility is about planning. So they also plan. All these people have responsibilities, whether it is the professional or the quasi professional, or even parents. Sometimes they also have they play certain roles. So some of the roles that they have to play include, as I've already said, for the professionals, collecting data, analyzing, managing, and so that they come out with the issues. They are able to tell what it is, so that they will be able to inform the stakeholders, particularly the parents and the community members, so that they will be able to take the necessary measures to ensure that the educational access is made available.
Okay.
And then we also have the issue of sharing information. The sharing of information is also one of the things that even the quasi planners have to be doing. And then they have the rule of educating the publics. IEPA, for instance, we have been doing these things over the years. We go around the country telling them about the SDGs and telling them about Ghana's performance.
Okay.
For instance, this year, through the census that was conducted, we are told that close to 1 million school-age children are
out of school.
They're out of school.
1.2 million.
Yes. And that is very serious. So we go out to educate the people about some of these things and what they can do.
Okay.
What we give them the alternatives as to how they can access education, and then how they will be able to traverse the challenges that are in their way. Sometimes the challenges are just mindsets, but how they will be able to deal with the mindsets so they change themselves and be able to access. These are some of the things that educational planners do.
All right. So it's about 37 minutes past 08, and our time is up. But so I'll come to you, Doc, briefly, if you want to add something to what Prof said, and then your final words.
All right. Thank you very much. I believe Prof has said all. Okay. So regarding roles of planners, educational planners, they diagnose the educational system, to identify what the pertinent issues are, or issues that need to be addressed, so that we find solutions to and then better the system. They also determine activities that should be carried out, because per their background, they are the technocrats, they have the knowledge, and they are able to determine activities which should be done to get the needed results. Okay, and a whole lot of things like Prof has said, but because for the want of time, I would say that going forward, if we look at the figures, current figures regarding the school-going age population, like Prof said, over 1.2 million are home. And out of the over 1.2 million, nearly 1 million have never been to school before. This is quite worrying. And so we need all hands on deck. We need the government, we need individuals, all of them. They should collaborate to find supportive ways of helping these learners to access education.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gloria Nyame, lecturer at IEPA. And Prof, your final words before I conclude.
Well, okay, thank you very much. Educational participation is very urgent. Okay. It's not just an issue, but it's very urgent. Everybody must be educated. A provision must be made, but it must be quality, and that all stakeholders must come on board to ensure that what everyone needs to do, we're able to do them, to ensure that everyone receives quality education in this country.
Prof, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's Professor Yao Afari-Ankuma, former director and lecturer at IEPA, and also you heard me speak with Dr. Gloria Nyame, lecturer at IEPA, helping us do the discussion on the topic education access versus quality, the role of educational planners. Thank you very much. You've been very resourceful this morning.
Thank you.
Okay. You still listen to ATL FM 100.5, and it's the Atlantic Way, 40 minutes past the hour 8.